APU and the left APU door must be replaced. Okay, just example. Now let's move to the next slide, and this is all about component reliability, section 6. And the first part here is part removal information. So what we have: part number, serial number, part description, ETA, aircraft MSN number, position, reason, removal type, installation date, removal date, all this cycle times information, not reading again. Aircraft flight hour flight cycles, engine flight hour flight cycles, APU flight hour flight cycles. What I would like to mention that, and definitely we can continue this list, right? What I would like to mention that all about aircraft engine APU flight hour flight cycles, that this segment here, right? This segment is conditional. Let me explain what does it mean. By the way, good example. Do you remember we had the APU fuel problem, right? Tube, we had a crack, right? Fuel feed line problem, right? And let's say, suppose this tube is installed on the APU. It's part of the APU. So conditional means that in this particular case, APU flight hour flight cycles becomes mandatory. Engine flight hour flight cycles becomes optional. We don't need, because it doesn't make any sense, because part was installed or is installed on the APU. If it was engine part, definitely then it becomes mandatory engine and APU becomes optional. I think it's clear. Now we can ask question: do we actually need this table to be part of our reliability report? Answer is yes and no. Answer is yes if we want to show all our the collected or field data to our readers, reliability report readers. And answer is no. First of all, if we don't want them, reader, don't want them to show all this collected information. We want them to see only the reliability information. And the second case, if we have standalone reliability report, reliability program related to the components. I'm talking here about component reliability report, standalone component reliability program. Definitely we don't need all this information in this report. Talking about component reliability, let's move to the next slide, and this is our core part 4, section 6. Component performance, LRU reliability. Let me first here read what we have. Let's start again from columns. So we have here unscheduled removal numbers, total removal numbers, unscheduled removal rate, MTBR. This is 1 month, 3 months, 12 months, total since entry into service, and last item here we have alert levels, which is this, just using URR. We could use MTBR, okay? Again, this is an example. What we have on the left side, let's go to the left. Item number, part number, QPA, all quantity per aircraft, ETA part description. As already mentioned, I'm just repeating here, right? All these items are made up by me for the training purposes. Okay, it doesn't exist. It's not from field. Okay, they don't exist. Do you remember we said what about these 15 fan blades? Here we have all these 15 fan blades with part number, QPAs, ETA number, 6-digit, and part description fan blades. You remember we said we replaced the engine. Here's the engine part number, right? Like QPA and ETA part description. So ETA and part engine, part name, engine. Do you remember we said we replaced the APU? Here is the APU part number, QPA, and I'm going to show you here different version. Okay. See, this is 6-digit ATA. I'm using here 8-digit ATA. In your case, as I said, based on what you how you code your system, especially ATA, how you build your ATA system. It can be 8-digit, 9-digit, 10-digit, or 6-digit, like we have here. Okay? You remember we said we had a problem, we need to replace the APU door? That's exactly what we have here. This is QPA, this is ATA number, and this is part description door, APU access. Do you remember we said that we had some fuel tube problems, damage, right? This is part number, this is QPA, this is ATA number, this is tubes, fuel feed, part description. And last item in our table, this is battery charger. I'm going to show you, so we're going to discuss it next slide. Now, what I would like to mention, as you can see, I highlighted URR, unscheduled removal rate, put here some asterisk. So note, the basis, the standard units, I mean flight hours, flight cycles, calendar times, etc., of computation of reliability parameters such as URR, etc., depend on the LRU and its tasks. And I put here some examples. What does it mean? Let's say wheels, tires, brakes. We can continue the list, right? Let's say wheels and tires. What is the task of wheels and tires? Well, where we are using wheels and tires? The answer is very simple. During takeoff and during landing. What does it mean? It means that we need to use, or it is at least good idea. I'm talking here about not exceptional case, a general case, because exceptional case may be a little bit different. In general case, it is to use as a unit of measure flight cycles and not flight hours. What does it mean is for our tapes? Let's say brakes here. Let me put here brakes. So here we are saying URR is per 1000 LRU flight hours, which makes sense, right? But if we also include in this table brake, we have to give information, maybe put here again asterisk somewhere here, right? And tell our reader that for brakes, tires, wheels, whatever, actually it's not the 1000 flight hours, it is flight cycles. Let's say 100 flight cycles. Otherwise, we're gonna mislead our reader, which is not good. What we can do, another thing, right? Another approach, on a different version. We can separate items per flight hours, so it can be one table, and another items, we can create another table, it can be per flight cycles or calendar times or whatever measure of units we are using. It's very simple. Another quick remark before we move to the next slide. You see here alert level, right? In real life, we can have, depends on definitely flight hours and depends on how many aircraft we have. We can have, I don't know, 600, 1000, 2000 items. And definitely what I would like to recommend in this case, at least to identify all these all items that is or are over or reached alert level. And what for this reason, I would like again to give you some recommendation, to advise you that to create exactly same table, it's exactly same report slide, right? As we said, as we had in our system performance. This is just copy paste from this system performance section. As you can see, I put here top 10 unscheduled part removal drivers. In our case, in section 4, we had top 10 or 15, whatever, the MyRep drivers. In your case, it can be 20, 50, whatever number is. Okay? So what supporting information we have? This table is just copy paste. Let's go to the supporting information. Part number, serial number, aircraft MSN number, position, ATA part description, reason, installation date, removal date, and all this information about cycles and flight hours, 3 months reliability, and total reliability since entry into service. Definitely we can continue this list. Simplified version of this table. So this is part number, serial number, aircraft manufacturer serial number, position, ATA part description, reason. So see, we have here battery charger, not charging. Total time on wing, as you can see, we replaced with all these times with one item, total time on wing, total cycles on wing. Next, we have 3 months reliability information and information since entry into service. And as we said, we can continue, we can add some items or remove some items. Before we move to the next slide, I would like to mention, since we mentioned here already section 4, we can, if let's say we say, hey, no, we don't need all this section 6, right? We can combine it with section 4. That's what I'm saying here. How we can do this one? Do you remember we identified as one of the top drivers, right? We said, oh, okay, you know what? This problem we have with 88, 21, 25, then 36, right? So what we can do is, remember, we had the information about PIREP, MIREPs, right? Section by section. Dispatch reliability. And then we can include also the items from section 6 or removal, component reliability, right? And we can say, hey, you know what? We actually don't need this section 6. We have all this information under systems, which is section 4. Okay. If we need, we can keep this the general table, right? Our reliability, part reliability core table, just for information. At the same time, as I said, we can include all this information in under each section. Okay, it's very simple. Again, depends on what we want to see and then what is our requirements. Talking about section 4, let's move to the next slide. And this is copy-paste